Welcome back to Ozarks Tonight. Well, it's time once again for our monthly segment with CoxHealth, talking about common things injuries that people here in the Ozarks deal with. So today, Dr. Bill Duncan is joining us, and we're going to talk about shoulder injuries, something that we hear about a lot and affects people here in the Ozarks. Now, when we're talking about shoulder injuries, what are the most common ones that you see, and what population does this mostly affect?
Well, it can affect anybody at any age. We see it from kids to middle age to even in older folks nowadays. People are living longer, staying more active, and while that's all good, it also subjects them to more injury. But so it kind of depends on what age group that you're talking about. Will kind of determine what types of injuries we commonly see. In the younger folks, a lot of aches and sprains and injuries along those lines. We see overuse injuries commonly, as we were talking about earlier. But also we see a fair number of fractures, dislocations from contact sports as well.
Definitely. When we talk about overuse, are we talking mostly about, kiddos that have been, they might play baseball and they're playing it year round. They're not exactly giving, their shoulder a break that it might need throughout the year.
Absolutely. Overuse injuries are very common in teens and adolescents. There's been a big push nowadays for kids to just focus in on one sport, and what that does is it subjects the joints and the muscles to a repetitive type of injury that may not recover. And what's advantageous about doing multiple sports is you give that particular area a break. So cross-training or even finding another sport to participate in for a certain amount of time can really give those areas, like you say, a break to kind of recover from even minor injury.
Definitely. So listen up, parents. If you have a young athlete, it's okay that they play multiple sports no matter what the coach says. It's always nice to, do a little basketball, do a little baseball, do a little track, whatever it is that might be. Now let's talk about, some of the older population as well, people 65 and up. What are some common injuries you would see in that population?
Well, we still see a fair number from activity. Unfortunately, it's a different type of activity. Sometimes it's falls. We see fractures oftentimes around the shoulder, clavicle fractures, shoulder fractures, but we also see a fair number of problems like rotator cuff tears, which a lot of times can just occur over time. And then, of course, arthritis is a more common problem we see in the older population compared to kids. So arthritis can be a big issue for folks as they get older.
For sure. And if someone's been dealing with an injury to their shoulder, whether it's overuse or whatever it is that might be, what are some common exercises or treatments that you all suggest before the surgery route?
Right. Well, certainly the first thing to do is, if it is an overuse type of problem, is to modify your activity. If there are certain activities that cause pain, then give yourself a rest, take a break. Ice, heat, anti-inflammatories, those are all very common things we recommend to patients in the early period. And a lot of times, if it's just an ache or sprain, it will settle down. But if the pain and the symptoms continue, that's when you should consider maybe seeking some extra help.
Definitely. And I guess that would be the point where, if someone's been dealing with, a constant nag in their shoulder when they reach or whatever it might be, they're grabbing a jar from the top shelf and, something's been hurting for months on end. Is that the time to maybe say, hey, reach out, something might be torn or going on in there? Yeah,
right. It does depend on the timing. I mean, if it has been going on for a long period of time, and it's always kind of hard to tell what the right amount of time is, but it also depends on the severity of the symptoms and even what started the symptoms. If the symptoms were related to a specific injury or a fall, I mean, that might be something to consider seeing or seeking evaluation sooner. If it's just something that happens over time that just hasn't responded to some of those treatments we talked about, well then, yeah, I think going to perhaps your primary care doctor or one of the local urgent cares can a lot of times give you the appropriate evaluation to figure out what's going on.
Sure. And at what point does surgery become an option for some folks when they come in?
Well, that's obviously our last option. We always want people to recover on their own. Our bodies have an amazing way to recover and heal themselves, and we want to give them every opportunity to do so. So again, all of the treatments we talked about, range of motion, anti-inflammatories, ice and heat, those can help. Obviously, another level of care would be physical therapy, strengthening, conditioning. But yeah, surgery is typically the last thing we think about. So that's what we try to avoid if we can.
Absolutely. Now, just for the folks at home, just tell them how what clinic you're at and how they can get a hold of you guys if they're interested in, if they have more questions or anything like that, if they've been dealing with some issues in their shoulder.
Sure. I practice at Farrell Duncan Clinic, which is through CoxHealth. We have a number of different ways to come in and seek evaluation. We've obviously got our main phone numbers that are readily available online at the coxhealth.com website. We also have a orthopedic urgent care that's open from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, which is very accessible and can avoid the wait times you might see at other urgent cares or certainly the emergency room.
Definitely. These joints are pretty important right here. We want them to stay in good health, that's for sure. Dr. Duncan, I want to thank you for coming in today. Very good information, as always.
Happy to help.
Thank you. We'll be back with more right after this.